Marvin wore a sleeveless fleece coat, an alpine wife beater or a muscle fleece, over an Izod shirt. His face was florid, as if one of those Caribbean tans had recurred like a fever. He said he had been prescribed a pill for failing memory, but told me he forgets to take it. He does remember that he forgets, which struck me as suspicious. An aquarium is built into one of his walls. It was once a saltwater tank, schools of tropical fish as gaudy as muscle cars, amid a world of colored gravel and faux seaweed, a vibrant seascape that has degraded into an acid pond. The fish died in the course of a single season some years ago, one of those strange kills that can decimate a closed system. I learned about it while reading the court papers. A defense attorney wanted to know why Marvin had asked Cumberland's controller and chief financial officer, Gil Medeiros, to clean out the tank. Unfortunately, yes, there was one incident where there were saltwater fish, which are very delicate, and all the fish were dying, Marvin testified. I felt so terrible. I remember telling Gil to cover the tank so I couldn't see the fish die. Marvin asked why I had come. I told him about the book I wanted to write. It would be about Ben and Betty and the factory, and Brooklyn, and the waterfront, and the Second World War, and Betty's brother Abraham, who died in the Philippines and won the Purple Heart and the Silver Star, and Bubba, Betty's mother, who tried to jump off the roof of her Brooklyn apartment house, and the diner where Ben first worked, and the diner across from the Navy Yard, where Ben invented the sugar packet and Sweet and Low. And it would be about the history of sugar, which is the history of the West, and how Sweet and Low is part of that history, and about dieting, and fat people, and packing, and the saccharine ban that almost wiped out the company, and Equal, and Splenda, the whole epic of uncles and aunts, Gladys in her bed, and my father and mother, and Ira, and the will, and the lawsuit my parents threatened to bring, and how my brother went with a lawyer and a stenographer and a videographer into the dark bedroom in Flatbush to depose my aunt, and how, during a break in that testimony, my brother asked Gladys if the pizza place where I used to eat as a kid, where the pizza was so greasy and delicious, was still in business, and the scandal, and the kickbacks, and the raid by the feds, and always the factory sitting on the waterfront, smoke rising from its chimneys, millions and millions of pink packets pouring off its belts. That is, I got carried away, and threw my arms around, and made boasts for the book. And if Marvin would help me, great. And if not, not. And as I spoke, he grew more and more florid. Then at last he spoke. It was a shout that had collapsed on itself. What might be left of a Bobby Knight harangue after that harangue had passed through a black hole. He said, "You do what you want. I just don't want you to make my mother and father look bad." He said, "Your mother wanted to get the money away from Gladys." He said, "I don't know what your father has against me." He said, "I agreed to talk to you only because it was you, and Barbara and I always liked you. But if your brother or father had called, forget it." I said, "My brother or father would never have called." He said, "I will help you, but I want you to let me proofread whatever you write." I said, "No." I said, "Look, Uncle Marvin, I did not come to make you look bad or look good. I just want to figure out the truth."